Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. We had something that happened in basketball yesterday that has never, ever happened in the NBA. So I'm going to cover that, LeBron's ejection. And we're also going to talk about David Fizdale's strange, unexpected, random firing. And I'm going to convince you guys that it's time for us to just blow up the Clippers and let the whole Clipper thing go. It's just about that time to just let it all go. We're going to knock out all those topics. Then at the end, I'm going to give you a game of the night and a pick of the night. As usual, my gift from my mic to your ears. You're welcome. No problem. So this is where we're at this morning. You ever start driving somewhere and then you just get in your zone? Because I was really in my zone this morning. I got up mega early, got a great workout in, got in my zone, got rested up, headed to the studio, and I went the wrong way. I went the wrong way, and I didn't even notice until I started passing gas stations. I think that you probably have a good sense of direction when you see things that you know aren't on your route, and you're like, you know what? See that zoo right there? That's not something that I usually pass. I'm not like an optimistic driver that's like, oh, you know what? Maybe they just built the zoo. Maybe they just built the zoo since yesterday and I'm driving the right way. Everything's going to be fine. No. If you see things that look out of place, then you need to reevaluate your situation, which is exactly what this ref did that ejected LeBron. His name is Mr. Kane. Kane Fitzgerald, my apologies. Basically, what ended up happening was, usually, this is the way a technical works. You get ejected on your second technical foul. Okay? So what ends up happening, you do something wild, like you wave your hand at the ref, you do something they don't like. Usually it's something that could be disrespectful. Sometimes players lose touch of that because I'm not going to say it's on purpose, but the ref that's there, he's like a traffic cop making sure things are all okay. When a traffic cop runs up on you, writes you a ticket, suddenly your day is destroyed. Meanwhile, you see other people running lights. They're not getting tickets. That's how players feel sometimes. They're on the court, playing, balling, doing what they need to do. Next thing you know, beep, 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 and they get a ticket for something maybe they didn't know exactly what was going on. So usually you get one. Then when you get your second tech, then you get ejected. When LeBron ran up on this ref, the ref immediately ejected LeBron. Like, he gave him 2 techs for 1 action. So things just look different to the ref. So he reevaluated this situation. Like, hey, this zoo doesn't belong on my route. Let me give you a little breakdown of what happened. Basically, the Heat were playing LeBron and the Cavs last night. So, I'm going to already say people were feeling away just because the Cavs are basically going to go show up at the Heat's house with the Heat's old team, because Dwayne Wade is on the Cavs and so is LeBron. And they're just on the team, just, hey, we're going to come visit Miami and then we're going to just dog you guys and you're just going to deal with it while we're all up in your city, all willy-nilly. Okay, to me, I kind of feel like that's disrespect in my eyes. But, it's the NBA. They don't pick their schedule. Someone else builds the schedule. So that's not complete disrespect. Secondly, this is like midway through the second quarter, and they're up 23 points. Okay? All right. So LeBron strips James Johnson, which from what I saw and from what I saw during that game, it looked like they were letting that game go a little roughly. Like, I'm not gonna say that they were trying to get players hurt, because sometimes when you're not calling fouls, it can make things look kind of ugly, and you got to protect the players in the game, because if things start getting too aggressive, somebody punches someone in the face, you don't call it, the next guy's gonna go in there and punch somebody in the face. That's an extreme example, but that's what I have for you. So James Johnson tries to drive to the key. LeBron strips him. I watched the game, and the way LeBron took the ball from him, it was questionable. It could have been called a foul. In my eyes, the way I saw it, it could have been called a foul. LeBron gets the ball, rips him in the key, drives on the court. James Johnson is like tailing him, kind of hugging him a little bit. LeBron goes up for a shot. He misses the shot. He sprints towards the ref, gives a couple, some let's call lip reading language that we all appreciate when we're watching a game. And the ref kind of takes about a half a step back and beep beep, does the thing, and then waves him out of there. Dwayne Wade walks over and grabs LeBron. It was like LeBron ran over to try to fight the ref. He just kind of did the thing where you run over. He did more of like, how do you say? It's more of like a football thing, a football one run towards the ref type of thing. And he bounced over there. And the way I see it, like if I'm Kane Fitzgerald and I'm all of 5'7" and LeBron just sprints towards me, all of a 6'9", 9,000 pounds, built like Karl Malone with mega hops. Even though I don't think LeBron would step on an ant, I would be scared too. And I would just beep, 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 whistle, whistle, beep, beep. And I don't know what was said. However, the Kane Fitzgerald was asked what happened. Refs don't usually give interviews, but like we like to hear this stuff, which is why an owner of a football team needs to talk after every single game, because we want to know what's going on. So the NBA, as nice as they are, made Kane Fitzgerald available, and he was asked what happened. He said it was a culmination of things. He threw an air punch at me, and then he aggressively charged at me and used vulgarity in my ear a few times. So in the process of LeBron missing the shot and then throwing the air punch, refs don't like when you do this thing when you wave them off. So I guess from that all the way to the sprinting and then the yelling, the guy felt like it was time. He felt like it was time, and he just wanted to give him 2 technicals. This has never happened. LeBron has never been ejected in the history of the NBA. In fact, he has 1,081 games played without an ejection. The only 2 players with the only active players with longer streaks than that are Tony Parker and Paul Gasol. So when you look at the temperament of those 3 people, Tony Parker, Paul Gasol, LeBron James, one would assume, I'm actually impressed that LeBron is on that list with those guys. I am, because Paul Gasol and Tony Parker have played for coaches that usually take a tech for them. Well, I mean, Paul Gasol and Tony Parker are on the same team right now. Popovich got ejected the other night because Popovich is going to take a tech for you. He's all for it. I'm surprised LeBron hasn't been teed up and ejected before, because I can't think of multiple times where LeBron has been playing with coaches that take techs for him. I'm going to get into this a little bit later when I talk about the firing of David Fizdale, because he took a tech. He didn't take a tech, but he got fined by the NBA, and his players covered the fine. Mad love, B. They covered the fine. So that's an outstanding level of respect. So I'm actually surprised by LeBron having to coach so many teams that he's played for, basically. Like, I'm surprised that, you know what, let me not be too disrespectful. I feel like Mike Brown probably took a couple texts for LeBron, because you got to protect the players. Steve Kerr does it all the time. So I'm actually surprised that LeBron is 3rd on the active list of most games played without an ejection. It's surprising to me, very much so. Usually you get a technical, right? Then when you get the first tech, it's like, okay, I'll calm down. So you kind of, you know your limits. You get one life. Like you get one bomb. You get one bomb. You get one bomb this one time. Then after that, bro, you're done. The second one, you're done. Okay, cool. So you go in knowing that. So I've actually seen LeBron run up on refs 1,000 times, and usually sometimes he gets a tech, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes refs just walk away and they ignore him. That happens often, but this ref kind of just stood there. He kind of took like a half a step back, like he was like, whoa, whoa, is LeBron going to have to see these hands? And then he was like, oh, wait, I'm at work. He's like, okay, technical foul. And just like got rid of him. They asked LeBron what happened. LeBron said, I got fouled. I showed my frustration. After the strip, I was fouled all the way down the court. So LeBron was pretty honest about it. He didn't say anything rude or mean or anything. He's just like, yo, I said how I felt. And that's just how I felt. It doesn't seem like he was very upset about this alleged streak. He said they got the win and that's all that matters. It's his first time in 15 years being ejected. Can you imagine if you were at work and then you just flipped out and they sent you home? Like, hey man, hey, you know what? So you didn't respond to that email we just sent out. And we noticed on the computer that you were shoe shopping like while we were having the meeting that we emailed you about. It's not a big deal, but we kind of feel like you're done for the day. We just kind of feel like you're done. We're done. But it's 10 o'clock. I work at 8 to 5. Yeah, we know it's only the first quarter, but today today's just not a good day for you to continue to work today. We'll be fine tomorrow, but it's just not a good time. That's how LeBron looked when he walked off the court, which I'm actually proud of the Cavs because they were up 23 points, but they still found a way to win. Kevin Love had 32 buckets. I feel like with LeBron's level of frustration, not having a point guard, Derrick Rose kind of on sabbatical trying to figure out his life, and Isaiah Thomas just waiting badly to play but can't. Isaiah Thomas has gotten teed up on the bench too because he really, really wants to play, and he's passionate. He has an outstanding level of passion for the game and wants to play. They're going to have to have Tyron Lue suit up and play point guard. It's going to happen. This is something that's going to happen. Tyron Lue is going to have to get dressed and play point for the Cavs. But until then, LeBron's frustrated. So the Cavs were like, yo, so we're in third place and the Heat are in ninth place. This game, it might not really matter, but if we lose this game after being up 23, do you really want to get on the plane with LeBron like that? Like we're up 23 and he just got ejected. So let's win this game, not for the stat board, but let's just win it for our sanity. Cause that's how I would feel. That like LeBron's in the locker room just chilling, waiting, showering up, watching the game on the screen. Like if they lose this lead, don't they better. They better not lose this lead. I'm gonna be hot. And he's just sitting there just grinding out, watching the game. They ended up winning by 10, by the way. So it was a close call for them. I guess it's the first time for everything. I don't really think this is a situation where this was a ref trying to make a name for himself. I really feel like from what I saw and the way it all played out, I mean, I can't say I've ever seen two technicals given out at once. I know it's happened. I'm 100% aware. I'm 100% sure that it's happened, like two at once. I just don't think that it's ever been like that level of star caliber. If when you see the video, the way LeBron sprints over to him and goes bad on him, immediately he's kind of like, oh, this isn't going to work out. And then when he tees him up and gets rid of him and the ref walks away, LeBron doesn't have to be restrained by Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade just kind of like does that thing where he puts like the back of his hand on LeBron. Like, so if someone wants to hold you back from something crazy, they jump in front of you like, hey man, stop. Don't do it. It's not worth it, bro. They grab your shoulders and say, stop it, man. It's not worth it, dude. Stop it. If they think you're going to do something wild. If someone doesn't really think you're going to do anything, but they have to do the gesture, like for public relations purposes, no matter if there's a camera around or not, everyone does this. Somebody's being outlandish. Something might be about to, as you'd say, pop off, and you'd have to put the back of your hand on someone's chest like, hey, bro, settle down. You don't even say anything. You just walk them like, hey, man, hey. You didn't even give them any sentences. Just, hey, don't do that. And they turn around. That's what happened, LeBron. So LeBron immediately kind of realized like, oh, I shouldn't have said that to him. It wasn't one of those things where you get thrown out and then you probably shouldn't have been thrown out, so you're still cursing and yelling. Because I've seen coaches and players do that a lot too. Like if you get thrown out, you're just like, to the top, top of the beep, 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 top. And they're just, people are aiming cameras at you, and they gotta blur out your fingers, all of it. The whole kit and caboodle, everything, the whole kitchen sink. But LeBron, he kind of immediately like, you know what? See, I probably shouldn't have said that to him. Probably shouldn't have said that. It had to be something vicious, because when the NBA makes a ref available, they must have said, hey, we can't just have LeBron getting ejected from games willy-nilly. This isn't something that we can just go on about doing. So you're gonna have to do an interview about it. That's just what you got to do. That's just what you got to do, bro. Oh man, okay, fine. Can you imagine just doing your job and you got to talk about it? That's like, I don't know if this to happen in real life, but they've done it on TV so many times, where there's a police officer who pull over like somebody that's a star or whatever, or some type of like mayor, president, whoever. He gives him a ticket or a DUI, and the guy is like, this is always this. I don't know if this to happen in real life, but I feel like it has happened, because everything that's written usually it's inspired by something. And whoever this guy is, he's like, hey man, you don't want to do this. Do you know who I am? He's like, hey man, I'm just doing my job, bro. All right, well, I'm gonna have your job. You'll never work in this town again. You'll be flipping burgers in Alaska, whatever that means. And next thing you know, it's this massive ordeal, and he's just trying to do his job. I'm sorry, you guys. This is what I got to do. I'm gonna pay a bill really, really fast, and then when I get back, I'm gonna tell you more about ejections and firings and people getting hurt and blowing up the Clippers. I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I was just telling you guys about how LeBron got ejected for the first time ever in 15 years. And what I was, I guess, getting into is about how there may be a misconception about how this ref might have been trying to make a name for himself or something like that. And based on the video I saw, I don't think that was the case. I feel like he just felt like, yo, you're not going to blatantly disrespect me all on the television, all nationwide, all in Miami, in front of everybody. It's not going to happen. Maybe in like, I don't know, Milwaukee, maybe somewhere that isn't LA or Miami or New York or Houston. No. LA in Staples, Madison Square Garden, or in Miami, just because of who's at the game. I'm not saying that Miami has the most jubilant crowd ever. I'm just saying, for the people that are at the Miami games, you're not just going to run up in my face in your old hometown. And no, it's just not going to happen that way. And I kind of, in the way I empathize with this ref, because the NBA made him available to do an interview. And they're like, yo, you need to explain why you ejected LeBron. You have to do that. That's on you. And he said he charged at me and used some vulgarity. He had to go, which is fine. Tyron Lue said, yep, he had to go. Tyron Lue completely agreed. And I felt like this is one of those situations where, I don't know, say you're a police officer and you give like the wrong judge a ticket or something. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, you're trying to make a name for yourself. Nah, hey, I'm just out here doing my job. I need you to just drive the speed limit or not drive intoxicated. I'm just doing my job. So I'm not gonna say I don't think this ref was trying to make a name for himself. I don't think that was one of those things. I feel like he was just doing his job, literally doing his job. So LeBron got ejected for the first time in NBA history. There is a first for everything. People get ejected. I think it was because of frustration. Greg Popovich got ejected the other day because of frustration too. I mean, really, because he's got ejected 2 times in November. And I honestly think that Greg Popovich's ejections are like he's doing it to get back at the NBA because he's not allowed to rest players anymore, because Greg Popovich is the ambassador of resting players. Like, he created that. That's his be all end all. He did that. He did that as a staff record label in the crew. Greg Popovich invented that. Maybe Phil Jackson. It's debatable, but I feel like Greg Popovich is like, you know what? You guys won't let me rest players? Fine. Watch this. I'm going in on refs. I have a lifetime contract with the Spurs. Anyway, someone's going to pay these fines. I wonder if the Spurs pay Greg Popovich's fines. You want to know who does? Well, they can't, because Greg Popovich, he gets a lot of texts. I think he's kind of on his own. You know who wasn't on their own? David Fizdale. David Fizdale was the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies up until a couple days ago. His inaugural season was last year with the Grizzlies. They made it to the playoffs for the 7th straight year. The Grizzlies have had a pretty solid playoff run. They haven't quite made it to the conference finals, but they've had a pretty solid playoff run for as long as they've been. I want to say ever since Hubie Brown was there in about 2005, 2006. And they took some time off. Then ever since then, even with Lionel Hollins and their coach before Fizdale, he coaches the Kings now. Even Jaeger, with those 3, they were still making the playoffs. And the Grizzlies have done the thing where they've constantly, they've fired these guys. Like, they fired Lionel Hollins, they fired Jaeger, and they fired Fizdale. When they fired Lionel Hollins and Jaeger, it seemed like they did that because it was like get over the hump issue. Lionel Hollins was there for a while. He did a great job. They made it to playoffs every year he was there, but they couldn't get over the hump. Apparently, Jaeger couldn't relate well with the players because he was more of a numbers guy. He was more of one of the analytics guys, which I don't differentiate them from other coaches or from other strategies. I'm not really into that school of thought where it's got to be one way of basketball. I believe numbers are numbers, and fraction is a number. You can add fractions the same way you can add whole numbers. Just because we're using decimal points and using numbers in a different way, that doesn't make stats not stats. So I think it's just because people can't comprehend something, they may call it like nerd numbers, but I don't think that's the way we should label it. I just think it's a different way of looking at stuff. We do it in football all the time. I don't know why we have to dumb down basketball. Anyway, that's a segment for another day. Jaeger was more of a numbers guy. They felt like he couldn't relate to players, so he had to go. Then David Fizdale got a shot. David Fizdale was an assistant on a couple of LeBron's Miami Heat teams, so he finally got a shot. He was there for 1 year. During a game last year, he asked the players, they were down 10 points to the Nets, and he asked them, he said, I need you guys to play this game like we're in the playoffs and you're down 3-2 and this is an elimination game. And when I say that to you, it probably doesn't come off as that motivational. A, because I'm not a basketball coach. B, you're probably not on the basketball court. And C, we don't know what it's like to be in the playoffs. So he did that and it went in the game. And one of the players said it was an angle they had never heard before. I'm positive all these players have heard things like, play like it's your last day, leave it on the floor, go your hardest, do whatever you got to do, run through a brick wall, die for this. But it's more about the delivery. All right, it's more about who says it. It's the words are about 10% of what's going on. The other 90% is the delivery and who's saying the words. You would know this if you watch any comedy at all. Any comedy at all. A joke isn't a joke if it's not delivered by the right person. So For example, you're listening to me right now because I am doing an incredible job. If I wasn't doing that, then you wouldn't be listening. So I thank you. I digress. Several other players said that he's easy to relate to. He's what was the word that was used? One of the words that was used was that he's a straight shooter. They said he's straight. He's a straight shooter there. He's a straight shooter, and he's not someone that's going to sugarcoat. He's not someone that's going to sugarcoat things. He says that they were saying he tries to go to dinner with all of his players. On off days, he brings in speakers to speak to them. I mean, so the guy, from what it sounds like, he's outstanding. Mike Conley said, I was told multiple times I have to be the best player for us to win tonight. If someone that says that to you in the right way, even for Mike Conley just signed a contract for like $110 million. But that goes to show that money isn't the only motivator, right? So you can give someone $100 million. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go out there, that they're even going to feel like they're the best player on the court. You gave them a whole bunch of money, and after you make so much money, it's going to start to all eventually look the same. IEC Carmelo, $100 million wasn't going to make him want to be in New York. It just wasn't going to do it. So Mike Conley said, I was told multiple times I have to be the best player on the court tonight for us to win the game. So for someone to challenge you like that is uplifting. After he was fired, Chris Wallace, the GM, said, after a thorough evaluation, I decided a change in course was necessary to move forward and provide the team and organization its best chance at success this season and beyond. Okay, so before I get into why I believe he was fired, let me give you some facts. They started the season off 5-1. Sounds really good. They got rid of for the most part, they got rid of some, I don't want to say dead weight, but they got rid of some dead weight. They got rid of Vince Carter. They got rid of Tony Allen, and they got rid of Vince Carter. Yes, Vince Carter is still in the NBA, plays for the Kings. Amazing, right? And they ended up signing Tyreek Evans, Chandler Parsons, and Ben McLemore. So they got some younger talent in there. And they started off 5-1. Since then, they've lost 8 straight games. However, Mike Conley has been resting a sore Achilles since the 17th. So Mike Conley has been out, right? Okay. On Sunday, David Fizdale decided to bench Gasol. He just decided he wasn't feeling his attitude. Didn't feel like he needed him in the game. As a coach, that's what you do. If you don't feel like someone needs to be in the game, then you bench him. Gasol signed a new contract with the Grizzlies in 2015. Gasol had his first All-Star appearance last year. Right now, he leads the team in points, rebounds, and assists because, the point guard is out. And the next day, David Fizdale is fired. When Gasol was asked about this, he said that it's a first for him. He doesn't like it one bit. Now, I feel like for him to say it in that way, like when asked about it, like, how do you feel about your benching? Even though that's a setup, even though that's a complete setup to get somebody fired, and it creates a ripple effect when you ask that question, which is great. That's a reporter's job. I don't knock them at all. How do you feel about your benching? I believe the right thing to say, or not the right. I'm not gonna hold back on this. I believe the right thing to say is, it's the coach's decision. That's it. I think that's what you say. I think, it's the coach's decision. I believe that's what you say. However, the whole it's a first for me, I didn't like it one bit thing. Now, I'm not gonna. I feel like that's throwing him under the bus. I feel like that's not standing by your team. And Marc Gasol, since he got to the Grizzlies, when the Lakers made this trade for him to get Paul Gasol a minute ago, Paul Gasol has been the guy there. I'm sorry, Marc Gasol has been the guy there. Like, there was Zebo and Mark, and then Mark slowly started to pass him Zebo. And since Zebo left, Zach Randolph, since he left and gave the reins to Mark, Mark is the guy. And I think Mark was feeling a little entitled when he stuck his chest out. Like, yo, I don't like it one bit. And it's a first for me. The next day, Fizdale was fired. And you're you're telling me you guys have lost 8 straight games. 8. You guys have lost 8 straight games. And the star point guard has been out since the 17th. And he benched the power forward on Sunday night's game. And he's fired Monday morning. And you tell me, after a thorough evaluation, I decided a change in course was necessary to move forward and provide the team and organization its best chance at success this season and beyond. Now, this makes complete sense if the plan is to blow the Grizzlies up. Now, if we have this plan of blowing the Grizzlies up because they've kind of, for the most part, they've had this core for a while. Tony Allen was part of the core. You have Mike Conley. They got rid of Zebo. You got Marc Gasol. They're all part of that like original core. Now, if the plan is to blow that up and start fresh, I guess I can see that where you're going to move the coach out and just start making some power moves, and this was the right time to do it. I get that. However, if this was a situation where the owner reached out, where the GM reached out to Mark, or where Mark reached out to the GM and was like, hey, you know what? I can't do this. It's going to be him or me. Someone's got to figure this out ASAP. I'm not sitting on anybody's bench. I'm a Gasol. My brother played for the Lakers and won 2 rings. Do you know who my brother is? Okay, Mark. We'll see what we can do about that. This is Sunday. Next day fired? How is that a thorough evaluation? How can that be a thorough evaluation? That's my question. How thorough was this alleged evaluation? So, I mean, if Marc Gasol has that type of pull, then so be it. I don't really understand or see the reasoning behind firing a coach that you just hired last year that took the team to the playoffs that everyone has had a great time relating to. And not on a friend level. This isn't a friend level type of thing. You know what? Let me not say that, because Chandler Parsons did say that he saw him as a friend, because Chandler Parsons said that when he met him, he's wearing jeans and a Wu-Tang t-shirt. Because he was so young, David Fizdale, 43, felt like he could relate to him more. And he felt really close to him. So I would say maybe friend was the wrong word, even though that's his quote. Probably, maybe he meant more as a mentor. What I'm getting at is it wasn't a friend level, like you're going to run all over somebody. It wasn't like a LeBron, David Blatt type of thing where David Blatt runs on the court to go yell at a ref and LeBron pushes him back like, move, go over there somewhere. Didn't seem like it was one of those things. It's like it was a great mentor to the guys. He'd bring in people to speak to them, and it seemed like it was a legit situation. It seemed like it was very official, and I'm not sure what the next step for that is. I really don't know. Now, if they're blowing up the team, I get it. But if this was a knee-jerk reaction because they benched Marc Gasol, then I'm not 100% sure how to feel about it. Right now, they're ranked 12th. I know this for a fact. On episode number 2, on like my first episode, maybe it was episode 100. I'm not sure. This was a few episodes ago. But I was telling you guys how the Lakers would sneak into the playoffs, and I talked about how I don't think the Grizzlies are going to make the playoffs this year. At that time, they were ranked like 4th. Now they're 12th. And and when I said that, I didn't even know what their record was. I just felt like it was about time for them in their whole, let's say, their Grizzlies run to probably come to an end. They've been lingering about just being on the cusp for a while, and that only worked for so long until things just have to fall apart. If you're on that cusp for a while and don't ever get over the hump, you either go to the finals and you lose, or you add more players, or you blow something up, or someone gets fired, you start all over, something. But to just be on that cusp for so long, eventually things begin to dissipate. And I felt like they wouldn't make it to the playoffs this year. They still might do it, but this whole prophecy that I somehow put in motion, it looks like they're probably not. And it's a sad thing for the Grizzlies. I was a big fan of the Grizzlies. I always liked their heart. However, when the core starts changing and coaches start changing, then, you don't really have the same team, because the NBA is more, I feel like it's more player based than anything. I like the Zebo a lot. I like Tony Allen a lot. Those guys aren't there anymore. Now they fired Fizdale, who's only been there for a year. Marc Gasol's basically running the whole team. And if word gets around that Marc Gasol got this guy fired, who's going to take that job? Like, I mean, someone's going to take it, because you can't pass up a coaching job, right? But when that gets out, who would want to take that, though? Right? So people talk, and David Fizdale hasn't done an interview on the firing quite yet, or said anything in depth quite yet. But if the word gets around internally, like, yeah, I talked to the guy, I benched him, he flipped out on me, and yeah, man, that whole organization's just surrounded by him. I'm happy. I'm actually happy I'm not there. I'm gonna miss those guys. I'm happy I'm not there. If something like that gets around, it's like, well, I'm not going there. So only time will tell what happened. When I get back, I'm going to talk to you guys about blowing up the Clippers, how it's time. They've been on the cusp for a while too. We're going to blow that whole thing up as well. Or I'm going to ask you if we should blow it up. Maybe we should. Maybe we should. But when I get back, we're going to work it all out together as a team, as a staff, as a record label, as a crew, me and you.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA Podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your host, Ryan Holloway, on the GSMC Podcast Network. If you guys weren't here for the last segment, which of course you were, like, why would you just jump in right now? However, we're going to blow up the Grizzlies because they just fired the coach, and apparently Marc Gasol is running all over Memphis, just having coaches fired. That's complete speculation. We don't really know yet. It just seems weird that he was benched one night and the next day Coach Fizdale was fired. Eventually we'll get more information on that. However, as of right now, we're just going to guess that it's because they lost the last 8 games, even though Mike Conley is out, been out since the 17th. So with that, we're going to talk about blowing up more teams. Well, first, Blake Griffin got hurt. I'm not going to say surprise, surprise, because that's rude. I am going to say that he gets hurt every year and that we're not surprised. Blake Griffin had suffered a knee injury 3 nights ago. It says he's going to be out for 3 to 4 months, 2 months max. So they just gave him $173 million. Now, when they gave him this money during the summer, I thought to myself, why would they give Blake Griffin that much money? I was confused. I didn't really know what was going on. I know they were gonna give Chris Paul $200. They were gonna give Chris Paul about $200 million, like about a quarter, 1/5 of $1 billion. And they give him that much money. I know there's like taxes and got to pay agents and all that. So fine, I'm gonna say $200 million. That's how I feel. So they were gonna give him that money, and then he decided to leave. We should have known something was up, because CP3 loves LA, and apparently at one point he loved playing for the Clippers, but he decided to go to the Rockets with Harden for, within a trade for a little bit less. So we had to know that something was going on there. However, we're like, whatever. Maybe he just wants a better shot at the championship, which makes sense. Maybe he's just tired of being there. However, after looking at the Clippers' decisions, one would assume it might be time to blow the thing up. It might be time to get rid of it. They gave Blake Griffin $173 million, and it's weird because since they drafted Blake Griffin in 2009, they haven't drafted anyone that's made a significant impact in the draft since 2009. Like since Blake Griffin was drafted, they haven't drafted anyone that's made a significant impact at all. Like, which is strange because the Warriors are really good, and they drafted Curry, Clay, and Draymond all within the top 10, all within like the top 10 picks of the first round, while they were still like climbing similar to the Clippers. However, since they've had Blake Griffin, they haven't gotten anybody in the draft. Not one impact player. Not even one. They got one guy who ended up being a journeyman after one season. His name I don't have, and if I told you, you wouldn't even know it either. I could say it was Bob Jones. You'd have no idea. Either way, they probably might want to. It might be time to just trade Blake Griffin and tank. Might be about that time. This is what Magic Johnson did. When Magic Johnson took over the Lakers, like last winter sometime, he traded Lou Williams. He was their highest scorer. Lou Williams was the highest scorer in the Lakers. They got rid of him. Why? So they could lose games and have a higher pick. No one's going to tell you that, though. No one's going to admit that. They got rid of him so Luke Walton could play all the young guys, and they could basically, I'm going to just repeat the same quote that Chris Wallace, the GM, said when he fired David Fizdale. I felt like I decided to change a course. It was necessary to move forward and provide the team and the organization the best chance of success this season and beyond. That's what Magic did when he got rid of Lou Williams. Like, I'm going to do this to provide the team with success this season and beyond. And success would be losing a bunch of games and getting the second pick. And beyond would be eventually winning a championship with those picks. That's the plan. That's what you do. So if you guys have to trade Blake Griffin, then so be it. I'm not sure how you trade with that contract now, though. I don't know how you do that. My problem is this. When you gave him $173 million, did you do that because you have this much money and you guys had it and were thinking, we have all this money and Chris Paul didn't take it. We got to give it to somebody. No, that's not how $200 million works. You don't have $200 million and then, I'm sorry, not $200 million. You don't have $173+ million and say, you know what? We have to give this to someone or else it's going to expire. No, it's not milk. It's money. It's not even milk money. It's a lot of money. It's cow money. It's farm money. It's a state that has a lot of farms of money. That's a lot of bread just give to Blake Griffin. He's not like a Westbrook player. It seems like with what OKC did, they let Harden walked and then KD walked and they were like, hey, you know what? We can't let Westbrook walk because he's getting triple doubles with nobody relevant on his team. And if he walks, we're going to be irrelevant and we're this close to being really good. We need a couple more players. So we should give him $1/5 billion. It just makes sense. That made complete sense, especially because Westbrook can play all by himself. You guys gave Blake Griffin this money and then didn't even see how he was going to perform without Chris Paul. It might have been a good idea to see how he would perform without Chris Paul before giving him this much money to find out maybe if he could carry you to the top, to find out if he would be the guy that could just completely carry the team on his own without having CP throw unlimited lobs and find them scoring opportunities. It would be a good thing to find out. But no. You got scared, hesitated, and just threw a bag of money at him. Not even a bag. You threw a pallet of, I don't know, $1,000 bills at this man. And now he's hurt. And it's, oh no, surprise, surprise. So what the Clippers should do is they should find someone that will accept, if his new contract even has some type of trade. I'm sure he has some type of weird trade clause in it, similar to DeAndre Jordan's. DeAndre Jordan has a 15% trade kicker where they trade him. Whoever gets him has to pay an extra 15%. Something wild like that. Like, hey, you have to, basically, if you trade me, I'm going to need you to pay me some more money for me to leave. Basically, like if you get a new job and they want you to relocate and then you're like, okay, where do you guys want me to go? You're like, you want me to go here? Okay, we're going to pay you to move too. Like that, basically. But it's 15%. It's going to be a whole lot more than what our would be a whole lot more than what our moving fees would be. Now, don't get me wrong. Blake Griffin has been balling. I mean, he's averaging 24 points per game right now. So he is getting them some buckets. The problem is, was he going to carry you? Was he going to carry them to a championship? I mean, and right now, so he's out. You got Patrick Beverley out, and you got Gallinari out, and Milos is out too. So they have a few different pieces, but it just seems like a situation where they're on that same cusp I was telling you guys about with the Grizzlies earlier. They're just on a cusp where it's like, man, it might be that time to just blow it up and tank. And when I say blow it up and tank, I know it's not that easy. It's not that easy to go the Sixers route and just sink into oblivion and then reap the rewards over the course of, 8 years. It's kind of difficult to do that. However, when the Sixers were good, like a while ago, and they were in the playoffs, like losing the Wizards and losing the Cavs in the playoffs, and they just couldn't compete with LeBron, it did just make sense to just take those losses now and be better later. The Clippers are in this weird, no longer non-existent rivalry anymore with the Warriors. It just doesn't exist. The Clippers are basically, I'm going to say they have given back LA to the Lakers. The Clippers got to own it for a couple of years. They're going to give it back. If they can get someone to take this $173 million contract off their hands with Blake, I say trade him, because he's going to get hurt every year. I don't really think that you can facilitate. I don't know, with the amount that you've paid him, with the way that team looks, you can bring in anyone that's going to want to play within that situation. At one point, you guys, when you got rid of the old owner, Sterling, you gave Doc Rivers the GM and coaching responsibilities, which I think it might have been a lot for him to handle. Doc Rivers is coaching his son. They took away his GM responsibilities, and now he's just the coach there. I feel like it might be about that time to get rid of Doc too. You got to just clear that whole thing out. Because for the most part, if you guys are going to go in a completely new direction, then the best thing to do right now would probably be to just wipe the whole thing up. Just wipe it up. Because if David Fizdale is getting fired for his performance, this 8 games and benching Mark, I don't really know how the Clippers plan to just stay afloat with this mediocrity that they're just having out on the Staples Center. It just doesn't look good, especially with them just talking about trading DeAndre Jordan. Now, I don't know if they plan on trading DeAndre Jordan for contract, for cash, or for a particular. I don't know what they plan on trading him for, but the word's out, you guys want to trade him. And Blake Griffin's hurt, so you probably won't do that well this season. I mean, it might be about that time to consider just playing all the young guys. Put all the young guys in there. Get yourself a nice pick. See if you can get like a DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin trade package to someone else, and so be it. I don't know if OKC can afford Blake Griffin, but I don't know if they can afford him or if they would want him, but I don't even want to think about the madness. I don't even want to consider it. So we're going to find out what the Clippers are going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to give you guys the game of the night, the pick of the night, and I'm going to tell you about Kevin Durant and Steph Curry's thoughts on Lonzo Ball and his development and how they feel about how he's being perceived and treated in LA. So bear with me. Be back in a couple minutes, guys. Thanks.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. to the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And so basically, just to recap, we're going to blow up the Clippers. That's what's going to happen. I don't know what we're going to trade $173 million to. That's what Blake is owed, but he gets hurt every year. They got to trade him. $173 million. I don't know what to do about that number, but I'm not 100% sure. Call Superman, call Liam Neeson. Somebody will figure it out. They'll take care of that. Anyhow, more about LA woes. Well, these aren't really woes. These are a little bit, let's say, encouragement. So, like several months ago, maybe it was more than several. I'm not sure how much several is. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 7. Several months ago, LeVar Ball said Lonzo Ball is going to be better than Steph Curry, and he's already better than Steph Curry, and all this stuff, LeVar Ball type of things. So it was the misconception. I feel like it was misconception that once Steph Curry played Lonzo Ball, oh my God, he was going to destroy him because of what his dad said. No, I didn't believe that because I feel like players have 82 games to play, and they don't mark calendars to play against 20-year-old rookies. I don't think that's what happened. Steph has enough of his own problems trying to win another championship and him being trolled for not giving a kid an autograph on Twitter. He's got bigger things to worry about. Anyway, Lonzo has still been experiencing these shooting woes. His numbers, based on a bunch of stats they put together, his numbers are on pace to be the lowest rookie numbers in 55 years. Whatever that means. It just means to say something is on pace can mean anything. It's incredibly subjective, and that's where we're at right now. However, numbers aren't that good. I mean, he's shooting 36% from 2-point shots and 25% from 3-pointers. And just to make matters worse, he's shooting 42% from the free throw line through 20 games. So the free throw thing is kind of it's kind of unnerving just because we don't really know. Well, that's got to be nerves, right? I mean, has he ever been a great free throw shooter? Can we say if he has been or he hasn't? 42% is pretty low. That's 42 out of 100, which most people can make 42 out of 100 free throws by accident. So, I mean, his numbers aren't the most beautiful. However, when they asked Steph Curry how he felt about it, Steph said, basically, my perception is he's working through that. I've always said he's a great talent. I think he loves to play basketball, so he'll be able to fight through that and have a great career. I hope you didn't judge me off of my first 20 games in the league either, Steph says, which is incredibly humbling because I remember Steph playing, and he's always been a splash brother. Like, he's always had an incredible jumper. However, he didn't have the boogie he had. He wasn't as aggressive as he is right now. He was a rookie. I mean, that's what it was. He was a rookie. So for him to say that, I feel like that's big of him, and that should be some promise and motivation for Lonzo. They asked him a little bit more. He said he's going through the ups and downs like every rookie has, whether you're highly talented or not. It's all a learning experience, trying to find your way and be comfortable, which is 100% true. Nobody really knows. I don't think that anyone really has an idea of how good he's supposed to be, just because he was blown up and majorly gassed. Meanwhile, there's other players that probably would have been picked before him, but because he's from LA and it's great marketing and his dad is outspoken, they kind of had to take him. It's great marketing for the Lakers, honestly. Dennis Smith Jr. on the Mavs is playing outstanding. However, we don't watch him because it's the Mavericks, and they're the Mavs and they're not good right now. So it's definitely an LA thing. And Kevin Durant agrees. Kevin Durant said that's what any 19-year-old would go through in the pros. It's just a matter of him being in LA, where the eyes and scrutiny are on him. He's playing like he should play as far as learning the game and adjusting on the fly. So you got Kevin Durant and you have Steph Curry, two future Hall of Famers, just telling you what it is right now. So with it being still in November and with Lonzo still working things out, let's just give the man some time. Give him some time. And it's interesting because this has actually died down a lot. I mean, I found this article while I was throwing some stuff together. Because usually, in the fourth segment, I usually just give you guys the pick. But I found this article while I was throwing some things together and wanted to give you a slight update on some good stuff people are saying about the guy. Because usually it's just bad things. They're tearing him down, having rude things to say. It's all about his brother or about his dad. And to actually hear from two players that feel like, from what I can see, I feel like he's a talent. And I remember when I wasn't as awesome as I am right now, because at one point my play was hellacious. And now I'm a champion, which is basically what Kevin Durant and Steph Curry said. So I respect them for reaching out. Each one, teach one. Lift as you climb. Hopefully Lonzo reads that and he increases his free throw percentage to a number that is respectable and not below 50, because there is nothing worse than having a free throw percentage below 50. Why? Because it's the number that everyone understands and everyone will tear it apart. Because everyone tear apart a free throw percentage, because no matter what type of athletics you participate in your life, you feel like a free throw is the easiest thing to make in the world. And people watching, these players can't make free throws. What is this? They get paid all this money. They can't make free throws. I can make free throws. Yeah, do this. I want you to play basketball every single day, all day long, for at least 40 minutes up and down the court. And I want you to go ahead and make 5 out of 10 free throws. I want you to just do that every single day. And then let me know what your percentage is. So that's why that number needs to be fixed, because the perception of the public is that anyone can do it, right? It's one of those things. Like when people see wide receivers drop balls, you got to catch that. How do they drop the ball? They make so much money because it's challenging. That's why you're watching. If it wasn't challenging, you'd be watching a Pop Warner game, but you're not. So I respect Lonzo. Keep pushing. As promised, the game of the night and the pick of the night. Before I get into this, I asked you guys the other night to watch LeBron versus Embiid, and they both went for 30. So if you missed that game, then that's fine. You're missing a legend, because Embiid is the next legend of the NBA. I also recommended that you guys take the Brooklyn Nets plus 16 points against Harden in the staff. Why? Because 16 points is a lot of points, and even if they did get blown out, they're not going to let Harden and Chris Paul play the whole fourth quarter if they're up by 1 million. What happened? The Rockets covered by 10. So, again, just out here making it rain on the staff. Great job, guys. If you're cashing on those, congratulations. If you're not, thanks for listening anyway. The pick of the night and the game. Well, there's not really there's not really a game tonight. Did you guys know that? Did you know that there's not a game tonight? No, I'm just kidding. Gotcha. Anyway, the pick of the night is no. First, I want to give you guys the game of the night. This is what I'm going to give you. I'll give you guys the game of the night, and that's going to be Houston versus Indiana. For some reason, Houston is favored by 12, because I don't know if the line makers watch Indiana, but Indiana is nice. They're 12-9. Don't let the record trick you, but they're nice. You guys get a chance, check them out. It's going to be great to see. Here's the pick though. The pick is going to be New York against Miami. It's in New York, and Miami is -2. I want you guys to take New York with the points. Take New York +2. That's my advice to you. Also, if you do get a chance, I would like for you to watch Golden State in LA tonight. Just because Golden State playing in LA, it should be a nice game to watch. It would just be it's fun to watch. It's fun watching games in LA now, because LA games are kind of important because Lonzo was there. So yeah, scratch that. No. If you have time, watch that game. But I say you watch the Rockets against the Pacers, because the Pacers they're outstandingly underrated. And Victor Oladipo Victor Oladipo is balling, and you guys have to watch him play. Sabonis is balling. They're nice. They've actually, people expected them to tank after Paul George left, but they're actually playing really good. Don't let their record fool you. They're really good. They're outstanding. And if you watch them, I think that you'd be impressed. Don't let the line fool you. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to change the pick of the night. We're going to change it. Forget New York. I mean, not forget New York. I love New York. I love Chris Stapps. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to go Pacers plus 12. You guys got that? You guys got it? All right, done. Pacers plus 12 and watch that game. It's going to be great. I almost guarantee it. This is my time. I thank you for your ears. This has been your host, Ryan Holloway, on the GSMC Basketball Podcast from the GSMC Podcast Network. Live long and prosper. Watch for potholes.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.